All right, let's get to this last topic before we get out of here, though. DJ Academic sounded off talking about the current superstars in hip hop: Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and J. Cole don't do interviews with media outlets because they have the big head. He called them out by name. And I thought this was an interesting topic because I know we've kind of talked about this before, specifically Kendrick. And this is the person that stuck out to me because I remember J. Cole doing Angie maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. J. Cole makes the kind of projects where it's like, you can do media, whatever, it's fine. But the album that Kendrick just made, you feel like there should be some epic interview that goes with that. Has hip hop's stars in this generation just totally eliminated the possibility of having great iconic moments in an interview setting for the fans?
I say this respectfully because the media is part of the problem and the issue for this. But because they have seen what the media can do to superstars in rap, they have encapsulated themselves.
The fans
And listen to what
lose.
I'm saying. When you encapsulate yourself, none of you niggas will ever be anything close to Tupac to us because Tupac talked to us.
You
You
know what?
understand what
If
I'm
for better
saying?
or for worse,
No.
can,
People act like Big didn't talk. No, Big talked and did interviews.
you're right. Like, what would the big moment be if we didn't get that Joe Claire
Joe Claire
interview
interview.
before
Thank
Life
you.
After Death? That Joe
Thank
Claire
you.
interview.
That's part of his legacy,
And
Mike.
shout out to Joe Claire too. Great dude. The
That's
fact
part
that
of Joe
Big,
Claire's legacy, Mike.
that's hip hop history. That's the last real interview. He went on Sway and Tech
It's one of the
when
best
he went
rap
to LA.
interviews ever, too.
That's a classic moment. You know what I'm
What is
saying? And
what is Ice Cube without those early interviews and the rhetoric that he's espousing with the motherfucking fro and like the fucking lynch mob? And he like, no, like don't fuck around with me and get your ass beat. It's not a game out here where I'm from.
I'm sorry, and I'm just gonna say this, man. Like, that's a huge element that you're missing in your
Mike,
hip hop moments
what's
and
Jay
in your
without the
moments to
Oprah
shine.
interview? Went on
Yeah,
MTV with do-rags. I made them love you. Had Oprah sitting on the bench in Brook. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is Jay without those interviews?
I know Nas doesn't do a lot of interviews, but I remember that Power 105 interview, and I've said this many times.
How according to hip hop got started.
That planted the seed for me to start according to hip hop in the way to do it when he said, "Man, start your own media,"
So
and
think about
things like
this.
that. And even what
His
Jay
most not-
said on
Mike,
Hot
think about this,
97.
Mike. He doesn't do a lot of interviews, but his most notorious interview put a battery in your back that started this whole organization. Mike, what's our blow up moment? Interviewing Hit Boy, who is the executive producer of whose projects?
Nas.
You see how interviews matter?
Even that interview I remember what Jay did, man. It was on Hot 97. I want to say this might have either been with Flex or Angie, but this is when the whole Jim Jones stuff was going on, right? And he said, man, there needs to be like a hip hop committee full of like, journalists, DJs, MCs that can sanction certain battles. Like, yo, you're not even at this person's level to even say something and
So,
stuff
Mike,
like that. And I'm like, yo, we do need some sort of collective where people can come together and discuss these things. And there needs to be some level of, I hate to use the word order, but where people can get on the same page. And
no, Mike, it needs to
Jay's
be some-
interviews gave me that mindset. And they're missing a
No.
lot of moments.
It
not
does,
interviewing.
Mike. And not to be too tribal with it, it's like, no, this is why you used to have elders in the neighborhood that would like let the kids do their thing, but they made the final decisions and stuff, and you had to bring it to the elders to get a decision because here's what's going on. And I said this, Mike, and I still mean it to this day. You want to know why Verzuz is already dead after a few years? Because you put it in Swiss and Timberland's hands. They was never attached to the fabric of hip hop like that in a million. Like that anyway. First of all, Swiss is more known for being an R&B singer's wife than he is and a music producer at this point. Timberland's best records, Mike, have Missy Elliott, Genuine, and Aaliyah on them. Not no famous rappers. Those ain't the dudes that's supposed to be dictating the hip hop culture. DJ Premier, Dr. Dre, RZA, God bless his soul, Dilla if he was here, Mike, Q-Tip.
I feel
You
like
feel
Pete
what I'm
Rock.
saying? Like
I
so
think
so
Pete
so this
Rock
whole
and,
versus.
and
Let
Premier
me
been
just
doing
finish.
this versus thing for a minute. You remember Pete Rock and Premier would pull up and just go track for track?
That's what I'm saying. They put
Yeah.
it in the hands of the wrong people, not on some disrespect, but it's like y'all chose Timberland and Swiss to keep track of the culture, or did they choose Timberland and Swiss to keep track of the culture? Because that's the problem. And so we got to keep better tabs on our culture. I'm going to say it again. And it's not to knock Timberland and Swiss. It's like, what's the hip hop classic that Timberland produced? What's the hip hop classic that Swiss produced? Y'all are the ones that are auditing the culture of these auditing the culture of these versus battles. Get the fuck out of here with that. None of you niggas even have a rap classic under your name to claim.
I think that's fair.
You damn right it's fair. I'm not bullshitting. Q-Tip should be doing this shit. Primo, Drake, you know niggas with classic rap albums, like in multiples, walking around with so many classics. It's like, sorry, hold on, Coop, 1 second. Can you be quiet? It's hard for me to hold all these classics up and hear you talk right now. Let me put these classics down right quick and get back to you. Yeah. Swiss and Timberland don't have classics like that. They have some classic hip hop records. They're not a Mike. They don't have. Listen to me. Just the DJ Premier run that has the Nas records, the J records, and the big records. You understand Swiss and Timberland don't have 10 hip-hop records that even fuck with what Premier did for those three guys.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
It would be tough for either one of them.
Shit, so don't tell me that these guys are supposed to be auditing the culture. The problem with Verzuz is who the vultures chose.
It would be very tough for them to go up against DJ Premier in a versus matchup themselves.
Don't get pimp slapped, Mike. Don't get pimp slapped. Quote the Snoop Dogg, just don't get pimp slapped, but drag the flow with them niggas real quick. It'd be like 17-3, Mike.
Yeah, it would. I think that Kendrick, J. Cole, and Drake are missing the opportunity to be as iconic as a Pac, as a Nas, a Biggie, a Jay, by not doing interviews. And honestly, man, I sit around, I will listen to a Kanye interview, I will listen to a 50 interview, I'll listen to a Rick Ross interview. These things add to their legacy. They're very entertaining, they're very informative. And in Kendrick's case specifically, there's a lot of dense content that he takes on that goes unexplained. And it's like you could sound very intellectual and very, deep, for lack of a better term, on record, but how does that translate in a conversational setting? And I think that it could translate great. It could go off the other way, but we're missing that opportunity to even take that in and see that. I don't really fault Drake too much, man. I think Drake does an appropriate amount of interviews. You know what I mean? He did the interview with Elliott Wilson and stuff. It's cool. You know what I mean? He puts out enough. His stuff is in your face to the point where it's like it really doesn't need to be explained too much. You know what I mean?
Let's pause a couple things. First of all, people in the chat, no, Timberland don't have classic hip hop songs like that. Go name them. He got
not
classics.
Albums. He might have a classic song here or there, but not albums.
Mike, classic song here or there don't justify it. Look at Primo's '94 run where he didn't even win Producer of the Year over fucking nobody care about that shit in the Big Lex kind of thing.
To me, his hip hop classic is Missy's Under Construction. I'll say that, but that's
okay. If that's your hip hop classic, that's why that you don't need to be auditing the culture for this, because what you do is providing something different than the basic fundamentals and aesthetics of the culture. So Timberland don't have classics like that. He don't have one classic rap album, and like I said, his classic material is with Missy, who's a hybrid, genuine, and a leader. He got some J records floating around. He got some other records floating around. There ain't a lot of classic stuff floating around. Same thing with Swiss. Swiss got Rough Riders Anthem. He got Echo with Nas. He got Money Cash Ho. So it's not like he don't have records. They're not fucking with Preem or Dre or RZA or somebody like that. They should probably really be auditing this more. That's more in tune and whose comeuppance has to do with being in the hip hop sphere. Now I'm like you right quick, Mike, and then I do got to slide.
Yeah.
Drake is covering certain boxes just off of him being who he is. He literally checks off 2 communities, not in the Black community, just by him showing up. And so some of him not doing interviews is because, well, quite frankly, he don't have to, and he knows it. Between what he's done music-wise with his repertoire, his style of music making, and the demographic boxes he checks off, sometimes he stands more to hurt himself than help himself by doing an interview.
Yeah.
But these other 2 niggas...
Yeah.
In the way that and I say this respectfully because Nas don't do interviews like that.
But he did during his time.
First of all,
yeah.
That's what I was about to say. Hold on, Mike. I shot the plug a message one day, and I was like, the nigga Nas faded in the Big Les interview with the Firm. Because he actually did that interview to promote the Firm when he was in his prime. That's Nas in the booth with the Firm on Rap City with Big Les to promote the Firm. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. But hold on. Nas just did a great interview recently with his niece. You seen that?
It's excellent.
It's a great interview. Yeah.
No. I'm saying that if their rationale for doing interviews is more based on the Nas template, first of all, let's get a couple things clear. And both of you guys should know this already. Well, you niggas ain't Nas. And second of all, that nigga's done more interviews than you guys. And Mike, there's somebody that's been trying to get the interview. Mike, he don't like to do interviews, and he does more interviews than you niggas. Who the fuck do you think you niggas think you are? I keep on telling you this, and like I say this respectfully, like y'all ain't got it like that. This generation keeps telling you like that. I'm telling you, in the hip hop community as a whole, as an elder statement, y'all don't have it like that to be avoiding these interviews. Better get your ass out here and talk to somebody. I don't care if you talk to me. Mike, me interviewing Kendrick gonna be the worst thing to happen to his career, because I'm gonna go to some specific lyrics and be like, no, but explain it to me, fam, since you're so smart.
But
and
it's
since
the
everybody
thing,
loves
though,
you so much. Break it down for me. I got some specific bars for him that I would love to him to explain, because sometimes I feel like this nigga don't know if he Christian, Islamic, spiritual, devil worship. It's like, which fucking fence do you sit on, my G? And don't nobody ever fucking ask him. Best believe I will. He better run for me. He better run.
I mean, now we saw what just happened recently to Young Jock. And if this is one of those things where you don't want to get into an environment where somebody will go out there and do some clout chase and stuff, I understand that. But you can also do it in a controlled setting. Michael Jordan had Ahmad Rashad. They don't even do that. They don't even do it in a setup where it's like, okay, this is my guy, and he's going to ask me the stuff that I want to answer. I'll wear some shades or whatever. Dag, talk to the people to a certain extent, especially when you're coming with such dense content. You know what I mean?
This is more of a Mike, let's just call it what it is. This is more of a Kendrick thing even than it is a Cole thing. Yeah. Because Cole does more interviews than Kendrick.
Way more.
And this is what I mean. Drake is so accessible on so many levels that it's like you almost don't have to ask him for an interview, because he does a lot of press. He does a lot of media. He'll pull up and split a quick blurb at an event. Oh, no, I love and boom, and gone. No. We got a dude that's been literally sitting around that y'all are calling king. Where did he fall on the MC list? He got put at number 2?
Number 2, yeah.
Mike, we don't even know how this nigga mind works in terms of how he thinks when he speaks live in an interview. Like, I know who Tupac... Like, how about this? You want to know why he was able to finish To Pimp a Butterfly? Because Tupac did interviews.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. Tupac actually had an interview that you pulled from to piece together your greatest piece of work in the eyes of many, right? And you're ranked higher than him, and you don't even do interviews. I mean,
you don't have an interview of that caliber that he pulled from. You don't have any interviews of that caliber. And guess what?
What's Tupac without interviews? Like, this is just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's part of his legend. You can go put Mike. I'm still literally Mike. He's been gone for so long. I watch his interviews sometimes more than I listen to his music, because that's the man.
Yeah. I think the troubling part of this too is the fact that these guys did do interviews once upon a time when they was trying to get on. You know what I'm saying? And then once you reach a certain level, no more interviews. It's like, that's...
I don't like how they talking about me. Well, step your ass up to the plate and talk different.
But again, if you didn't get to that point, you would still be doing interviews. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get to that point.
But this is what I mean. You can't even get you a Howard Cosell. Like, a young Cassius Clay turned Muhammad Ali did not like how the white media talked about him, including a young Howard Cosell. But he saw something in Howard Cosell, and he was like, well, this guy's like the rest of his guys, but he gets me different than those other guys do. Mm-hmm. And I know that the media is a part of this game. Let me go talk to him. Do you understand the Howard Cosell, Muhammad Ali back and forth and diatribe is part of why he's considered the greatest, Mike?
Well, at the end of the day, bro,
the image. We have footage of him, and when he's talking his shit, Mike, who is he talking to? Well, I'm gonna knock him out and Howard, what's up, Howard? That's part of it.
But Coop, who was that for? That's for the fans. These interviews are for the fans. So the fans should feel So the fans should feel gypped from these artists that refuse to do interviews. You know what I'm saying? Like they're robbing you of that full experience.
Yes.
Let me get to the super chat so we can get up out of here. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, guys, they might play "Shut 'Em Down" 2002 from Busta. They're not gonna play that. He lyrically went off on that classic beat. What would you play for that, fellas? He's not gonna play that.
If he plays that, we got about
I
10
mean,
records.
he got every. You could play Rubber Band Man or anything for that. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, "This is a weird take. I'm 30, and I could tell you, people our age don't really care much for interviews as much. We look for content, not fluff and filler. Y'all don't look for interviews because you don't have them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your artists don't do them. If they did them, you would care."
Let me explain something to the people right quick. Your artists aren't that charismatic. That's why you don't care about the interviews. Pac is super charismatic. Biggie, super charismatic. Chuck D, Ice Cube. Oh, no. These guys got persona. Yeah. Like a motherfucker.
So hold on. 36.
Even a young, quiet Snoop, Mike, even a young, quiet Snoop had a presence about him.
No, hold on. I want to shut this down real quick. 36 Chambers, y'all didn't watch the Kanye West interviews? Y'all didn't watch any of that? Nobody was paying attention to any of these Kanye West interviews? Those were breaking the internet last time I checked.
Say less.
And Mad Max with the super chat says, those three are introverts, and hip-hop media just gossip blogs. Now, I will give you that. There is a lot of hip-hop media that has turned into gossip, but I wouldn't put that on somebody like Big Boy out in L.A.
Hold on.
Big Boy's not a gossiper.
So listen.
He's a journalist.
Nuh-uh. This is why you can't get away with saying that, Mad Max. Because according to hip-hop exists. They can pull up here anytime and get some real media and real journalism and get some real questions asked. But I bet you that they won't, because I bet you I'm going to tear into one of their ass to show about some of the shit that they've been saying. And they not built like that to deal with that. So they'd rather hide and make you think, oh, I'm just an introvert that doesn't like to be bothered. It's like, nah, you shook, and the shit that you be saying be shaky sometimes, but this hiding shit is working for your audience. So
I don't think that's J. Cole's thing, though.
I said one of them. I said one. Everybody know who I'm talking about?
Mad Max with the super chat says,
shout out to Faye and Nom. Ain't nobody talking about Cole. Shout out to the Nom.
Mad Max with the super chat says, and all three do interviews. Drake with Yachty, etc. Yeah, I think that Drake shouldn't even be included in this. Drake
doesn't count, Mike. Yeah. Drake do press.
Yeah. He just doesn't go to the major radio stations anymore. He kind of just
does
his own thing.
He does press and media. Yes, he does.
Yeah, he does.
All right, Mike, I got to slide.
All right, cool, man. I will holler at you Friday. Let me get to the end of these super chats, and I'm going to head out of here, too. And, yeah, great show. Jay Short with the super chat says, they don't want to do interviews because they don't want to answer the tough questions. Coop is right. They want to circumvent audiences and approval for street/grassroots. They think that we're beneath them. That's what it feels like.
Hold on. Esquire. No, Esquire just said something that said we stand more to gain. No, I don't think you understand. I'll go interview them on their platform so they can take all the numbers. It ain't about to change a motherfucking thing.
No, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't care about that. Like, I care about the culture. Y'all niggas is out here really being lied to by one of them specifically, and it's like, yeah, we can do that, Esquire. Don't ever say that to me, because I'm the type of nigga, it's like, if you call me, it's like, nah, nigga, I will come to Compton and meet you in your neighborhood on your block where you grew up. I'm that nigga. So, like, you don't get to say that about me, because I will literally come to your motherfucking hood. Don't nothing shake me, my G. So don't ever say that, like, we stand more to gain. It's like, nah, fam. We can do it however he wants to his benefit. And I still wouldn't do it.
But again, I think that, that's why I have a problem with the fact that once these guys were up-and-coming artists, they would do interviews. At that point, yes, they stood more to gain than the Hot 97s and all of that, but they still were allotted that opportunity. So I don't like that argument. No one starts at the top. Everybody starts from somewhere. You know what I mean? Like somebody gave everybody a shot. You know what I'm saying?
Mike, I can remember him being at the Tabernacle. You used to be able to walk up to him and say, "What's up?" Don't tell me that this ain't some bullshit.
No, I don't like that narrative.
It's like, because I was one of the people that supported it. I was there.
Yeah, and you're a real Kendrick fan, and so am I. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, interviews are important, but the modern streaming era has changed the importance of behind-the-scenes content. We don't care for it as much, more music. But if that was the case, though, 36, I think the interviews still could sell the music. Maybe that's why the music sales are struggling, because people aren't doing interviews. In the era where people were doing interviews, music was selling better. Davis Lewis Love with the super chat says, why didn't Puff ball out Pac if it was animosity. If it was no animosity, why didn't Puff bail out Pac if there was no animosity? Oh, I don't know. Jay Short with the super chat says, what I don't like is that people would go on Vlad and allow him to own the history and content, but not places like A2HH. Vlad owns a chunk of our history, and he owns all the content too. I remember Nori was like, when he went against when he quote unquote misquoted the minister, Vlad, Nori was like, please, Vlad, if you will, take down my interviews. And it's like, dang, man, he can't even demand that because that's Vlad's content. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, AK kind of makes a point. We just hate agreeing with him because a lot of us heads don't F with him. It's a legit message, wrong messenger thing. Yeah, I mean, when you're right, you're right. It doesn't matter who says it. I'm almost done. Let's see. The Anime Bros podcast says Timbaland has a better catalog than Hit Boy.
No, he doesn't. Not in hip hop songs.
Not hip hop, maybe, no. The L Dub with the super chat says, I like to see more live hip hop performances like we got in the 90s. We need something like a new Arsenio Hall show. We'd like to see that too. We're working on that as well. We're working on a lot of stuff. And I think that might be about it. Davis Lewis Love with the super chat said Money Cash Hoes was on the Corruptor soundtrack. Another soundtrack. Okay. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, I choose me. I'm sorry. K-Dot. And I think that's a good one to leave off.
No, enough.
That's a good one to leave off on. We'll see you guys Friday. Great show.
Hey, one more thing, Mike, before we go. Have you cut it off yet? One more thing. I want to shout out to Dumb It Down for doing something that Madman Scary Ass doesn't have the talent or maybe the know-how or the wherewithal to do, and that's to start his own podcast.
Oh, Lord.
One of our followers, Dumb It Down, has started the Haters Ball. And Mike, he's asked us to pull up on April 9th on Sunday and do a show with him. I want to support Dumb It Down because unlike Madman, he is actually doing something about not agreeing with us. He's just not pulling up in our chat 2-3 times a week and trolling. He's doing something about it. And I'm with people that do something about it, not just pull up on our podcast and talk shit. And Madman, since you got this started with me, I'm about to pull up every week and talk about how all you do is pull up on here and talk about us, but don't have the balls to start your own podcast. There you go, fam. I'm giving you free pub to start it. Me and Mike gonna come support your sorry ass, but what you gonna do is stop trolling up in here and make it seem like we the problem. Step your game
shout
up,
out
fam.
to everybody.
Shout out to Dumb It Down and the Haters Ball.
And shout out to Madman too, man. Start that podcast.
Ain't nobody shouting out no Madman. Get your own shit, nigga.